Welcome to Distillers Talk. On today's show, we are actually having a special edition where we are live at the Absinthe House in Key West, Florida, and we've got a couple special guests, but we also will be releasing this as an audio version. So on tonight's show, we have Jim Martin, who you may know as the Smuggler Jim from Key West Trading Company and Absinthe House Key West. We also have Kris Koenig from Beaver Distillery. So we're going to be talking about a couple different products tonight. We're going to be doing some tastings. We're currently drinking absinthe as well. And we're going to be talking about some events and new projects on the line. And I did include Alan in this, but he's not with me. Hi, Alan.
Right. So yeah, I'm the only one stuck in cold ass Indiana where it's like 5 degrees right now.
Oh, it's like 81 here today.
81 here. Yep.
Yep. That sounds fan-fucking-tastic.
We have 16 more fives than you do. 15
yes.
more.
Right.
So you got 1 5 and we got 16 fives.
And you got hope and optimism because the sun still exists where you're at.
That's the largest here than any other place in the United States. Because we're closest to the equator. It's the southernmost point.
I will say it is warmer than it was last night. So last night we decided to hit the hot tub. It's not on site.
Are we in small talk now?
We are in small talk.
Okay, now we're in small talk.
Yeah, so Jim wants to interject on this one.
So you would think this being Christi's second trip to Key West, and I don't know how many times she's probably been to Florida. She came down to Florida for a week with no bikini.
Mind you, it is January.
In Florida, at the southernmost point in the continental United States.
But the forecast said it was going to be 60 degrees here.
So when I go to the hot tub almost every day, and I was like, last night, I'm like, hey, we need to go to the hot tub. And she goes, I don't have a bikini, that was a 20-minute rant about why she didn't have a bikini. So I was like, well, we're going to the hot tub, so figure something out. So I gave her a pair of my shorts and a tank top. So she looked like a boy.
I was complaining. I was saying, I look like a boy. I cannot go out in public looking like a boy.
She was whining. She turned completely into a girl and was like, I'm not going. I'm not going to be in public looking like a boy. I can't go. So then there's nobody at the hot tub, right? This is a hot tub that like I am the only one ever there anytime I ever go. I've seen, I think, 2 people in the last 40 times I've been there. And so, but because she was freaking out, I was like, hey, look, there's only going to be like, it's just a small party. There's only going to be like 40 people there, 45 tops. I was like, it's cool. Don't worry about it. She's freaking out. She's like, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I'm not going to get in. She was just freaking out the whole time, starting to get pissed off. She doesn't want to go because she looks like a boy. And I'm like, well, it's your fault. You come to Key West with no bikini. Now you got to suck it up.
Well, it got worse. Right. He also tried to tell me, and this isn't too far-fetched for the things that Jim gets into. He tried to tell me that there was just going to be a music video being shot. And, we were included in it. It was no big deal, though, because I was going to be in the water, right?
Yeah, you're going to be the boy in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be all right.
He drew this out and even told me that someone didn't have teeth and that people were going to show up naked anyway. So I shouldn't be too concerned.
Yeah. Like,
well, I mean, yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's on them, not you, right? I mean, you're doing better than they are. You still got clothes on. But why didn't you just go to down to the Dollar Tree? I hear that they sell, bikinis and glasses with ships on them for $1 at the Dollar Tree in Key West.
It was about 9 or 10 o'clock at night.
It was like 10
That Dollar Tree never closes. Nobody sleeps in Key West.
Do we have a Dollar Tree here?
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah.
You don't have a
These guys
Walmart
weren't sleeping last night for sure. They were hitting the town.
Please tell me that the Dollar Tree is like right on the corner of the main strip too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. There's no reason for it not to be.
They sell condoms and bad decisions there.
Now,
yes.
Yesterday, Kris was on a hunt for cocktail. He wanted a death in the afternoon.
I saw that.
It was 2 days of hunt.
That was true.
And we finally found one at General
Horseplay.
General Horseplay is freaking awesome.
Did you
named Rose took care of us, hooked us up, and was
And you guys went and checked out the sunset, right?
then we went and checked out the sunset where a man told me that my wife was a golden beaver, but his wife wasn't. So that was the kind of the highlight of the evening right there. But
I would say that those Key West natives, they know a thing or two about Beaver. That would be my guess. More than likely, you're probably in the right market. Now, did you also give Jim shit for the fact that you had to go searching for this Death in the Afternoon as opposed to Jim shit already had it sold into every bar program that
It doesn't
exists?
fit everywhere. I've only got it in 6 places, because it takes the sexy places. I got it in the Saint Hotel, which is a very sexy hotel.
Yeah.
The La Tida, which is a really great gay bar. It's awesome.
Well, what we need to do is do a kiosk bar down at the square there, Mallory Square, and sell them at sunset.
Well, we tried to do that.
Didn't happen.
No, they won't. The committee, it's a non-profit organization that runs Mallory Square, and everything that's sold there has to be handmade on site. And it's an artisan.
Yeah, what about the guys right there at the bar right now on the corner? Open bar.
You're talking about at the El Maison de Pepe?
No, as you go down past the museum and you go out onto the pier there.
Oh, that's this hotel.
Yeah.
When do you? My question is, when are you going to do a ready to drink Death in the Afternoon that I can buy out of a vending machine in Key West? Because that seems like it should be a thing.
It does seem like it should be a thing. I talked to Bill about making, everybody's all about these spritzers and bullshit.
Yeah, you could do it.
Everybody should do it like a champagne, a real Death
Yeah.
in a can.
Yeah, and get you a Coke machine and put it right there in the absinthe bar just for shits and giggles, right?
I like that. I like where we're going with this.
Right.
Oh, and
I
so there's another thing, right?
I should have charged a consulting fee on that bullshit. Goddamn.
Too late. So we have another thing that we've been trying to pull off, and we're probably going to definitely accomplish it while Christy's here. She has agreed to piss off the light tower.
I'm going to make this happen.
So Christy,
Only if you're wearing dim shorts and a tank top.
God.
I mean, I guarantee you that it's not going to be the weirdest thing that people in Key West have seen.
Oh no, we've got Homeless Island here.
Yeah, I know.
Weirdest thing I've seen so far this trip, I got into town yesterday morning, was the bench. And I watched, I'm presuming he was homeless. I watched a homeless man who was actually in really good shape and had style. He showed up with his paper sack and it had $20 worth of clothing. He was not going to tell anybody where he got it from. He also had a really cool shirt, but it was stained with Kool-Aid. And apparently he got a deal on it because some woman's kid got Kool-Aid on it. So he got to get it from her pretty cheap. But he was showing off all his gear and showing off his jacket he got. But he did a full strut down the street. It was very interesting. So
Did he have a pet rooster?
There was a rooster nearby.
There's always a cock involved in Key West.
Always.
We got
Fucking cocks and beavers.
Cocks. Iguanas.
Beavers and cocks.
That's what you got. That's what you got. That's why you drink absinthe to get through it.
Yeah. But we do have a gripe tonight. And we want to do a little PSA for our good friend, Rick Gibson. Chris, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Rick, get off your ass, man. Let's just be blunt about it. We need the boiler yesterday, man.
Yeah, Rick.
We're holding up my production of my absinthe, waiting for your boiler.
Yeah, Rick.
Do something.
A hillbilly absinthe with you not getting the hillbilly shit to me. Come on. Let's go, man.
Listen, Rick, the only difference between treading water and drowning is you're doing it fucking slower, buddy. Come on.
That's it.
Procrastination is like masturbation. They both feel good at the time, but you're really just fucking yourself. I mean, there's no reason why Kris doesn't already have this thing. I mean, you've had like, a year plus. I mean, hell, he flew you out to California and everything, man.
It's
Get the fucking thing
2
done.
years.
Going on 2 years. We got half of the solution. We need the other half, man.
I bet if Sean Rigsby was building this thing, it'd be done. I bet it'd be done and in place.
Yeah, probably would be.
You'll probably be getting a call from
You know,
John Rigby
taking
tomorrow.
2 years to get it. It sounds like you ordered it from Key West.
God, I ordered from Dallas, Georgia. It's actually worse than Key West, but yeah.
You can order shit from China and get it here faster.
Well, yeah.
China.
Actually. Good.
So we're going to be getting a little bit more into Kris's absinthe project tonight, and we definitely want to talk about that. When I found out Kris was in town, really wanted to make sure that we connected. But one thing I want to talk about first is a little bit about the Absinthe House.
Also, let's talk before we move on
Yes.
past Kris. We wanted to throw a disclaimer out there that we hijacked Kris from his "I'm not going to work" vacation with his wife.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Worked out great, right?
Worked out great. We're gonna meet the
It's worse.
bourbon ladies tomorrow. So
That's more
You know,
bourbon women.
we're the bourbon women. So I'm
We're
real happy. I am actually. That's
Good.
Man, I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, we're meeting with the Bourbon Women of the Southernmost Point at the Curry Mansion tomorrow.
Yeah, his wife
Well, hey,
is
a working vacation in Key West. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
We should do this more often, Kris. Are you coming
Yeah.
to the New Orleans Bourbon Festival to relax?
Yeah.
Well, you should
Nice.
post social media where you're at.
I'm learning very quickly.
So, Jim, when was the last time I was here? It was a few months ago.
What was the occasion?
What was the
What
occasion?
were we
I was
doing?
visiting Key West.
What were
When
we
was the
doing?
last?
What did we do?
I was here.
There was drinking involved.
There was a lot of drinking involved, but I was doing all the drinking, not you.
I did a lot of drinking.
And we
the very
got to see
first couple of nights.
jellyfish. We got to see jellyfish.
Got to see jellyfish. We got to drink a jellyfish.
We did drink a jellyfish. There's a story behind this.
A lot of jellyfish.
Yeah, so that was a few months ago.
Yeah.
And at that time, I actually came here and got to see Jim's office. It was just an office then. This, I believe you had an idea for an absinthe house, but you weren't necessarily looking at this location at that point.
I was trying to get one of our existing customers to do an absinthe house, and nobody wanted to move forward with that. So I was like, well, hell, I'm gonna have to do it myself. You know, it was important for the branding to give an anchor for the branding. I thought, and it's just a natural progression for the brand to have an actual absinthe house and do it properly.
Yeah, and you've been burning it up with the Death in the Afternoon anyways, and you've got a couple other products coming, I know. But it's definitely got more than enough attention, and we even kind of won over some of the absinthe purists with that particular product. So as I told you whenever we first started talking about the absinthe project anyways, the first time we ever talked about absinthe, well, actually the first time I ever met you, we had that conversation that Key West makes sense for absinthe. It's the only other place in the United States other than New Orleans that makes sense to have an absinthe culture and an absinthe, oriented culture at that, with all the connections to Hemingway, all the kind of supernatural connections and all that stuff. So seeing you launch the brand, and then now the Absinthe House is pretty exciting, and it looks fucking cool from what I can see of it. I really like the way that it looks.
Yeah, we just redid the bar and the floor. That's why we're not inside. And it was interesting. Remember when we were when I met you at that event, you were telling me about the connection to absinthe in Indiana and all the stuff that you found out about Indiana. And I was like really shocked that there was that big of an absinthe presence in Indiana back historically.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, and we've found out things since then that people don't know either. I mean, we have a direct descendant of the Henriot sisters who lives in Indiana, that we've gotten to be very good friends with, and we're going to probably end up doing a project with her in the near future, or at least I have plans to do a project with her. So Indiana has a lot of connections to absinthe, and of course there was a Swiss colony here in Switzerland County, Indiana, where there were 2 commercial distillers of absinthe. It's just people migrate where they feel like it looks like home, and when they got to Switzerland County, Indiana, it reminded them a little bit of at least northern France, and maybe even a little bit of the Swiss Alps. It's pretty hilly down in that area, and we were just lucky that they settled there, and I was lucky that I came across that piece of history and was able to bring it back up, and been incredibly proud to be a part of the Death in the Afternoon thing, and the other 2 potential absinthes that hopefully will come out one of these days once you and Bill get your shit together.
Well, it moves at the speed of cash.
Mm-hmm. Right. So tell us about the absinthe bar. Tell us the what all you have as far as programs and that kind of stuff, and what the draw there is. Obviously, it seems like you're hitting on that in that sort of New Orleans kind of Victorian sort of thing, and also obviously rolling some of the Key West stuff into there too.
Yeah, it's a tin shack in Key West that originally was a boat hull builder. It was a Spencer Boat Works. They used to build boat hulls here. and it's very tropical. We have a lot of foliage and greenage, and so it's kind of like a France meets Key West, kind of country chic, type of people are really surprised when they come in because they see an old tin shack and they're like, oh, this is, and they walk in and it's like, then all of a sudden you're in France. We have all the reproduction fountains and the proper glasses and proper service. And, we do some really nice craft cocktails, and it is an event center. So it's available to rent for, private parties and events and stuff. And then we do a lot of our own events. We're doing full moon parties. So there's a full moon every month this year. We just did the wolf moon. The next event will be February the 16th, which will be the snow moon. And then not February, but March, we're going to introduce a fetish zone. So we'll be doing a little bit of risque, fetish type stuff. Got some St. Christopher's Cross and some other things like that.
Are there any beavers involved in that?
There will be
Like
beavers. And what we're trying to make sure is that there's more beavers than cocks at this particular party.
Well played, sir. Well played.
I will say the St. Christopher's Cross is already here.
It's already here, and we have two granite penises that have arrived on site already.
I have seen those too. I looked at them like, is that what that looks like?
It's pretty obvious.
This is sounding very, very eyes wide shut, but with tourists from the Midwest at an upscale absinthe bar is what it sounds. It sounds like you're gonna see some shit you might not want to see.
See, he actually gets a lot of locals here. You
Good.
want to talk about that?
Yeah, we do get a lot of locals. It's we're kind of the anti-Duval Street. So there's matter of fact, I'm getting a sign made that says no Tito's or Jameson allowed on premise. So no Tito's, no Jameson, no Bacardi, no wine, no beer. This is an absinthe house. It's not a true absinthe house in like a European style where we only have absinthe. We do have vodka, rum, and whiskeys and things like that, but we're very selective as far as products that we're going to carry. We've obviously got your products here that we carry, and we'll be looking at other partner people that we work with having their brands in there, but no, none of the stupid mainstream stuff. And not when I say stupid, I mean we're not trying to be shots and beers like they do down on Duval Street. It's a different environment. We play jazz music or light blues, and you can have a conversation with someone in here, and it's all lit up green for the Green Fairy, and some pomp and circumstance that goes along with it, some nice smoked drinks, and it's making it just a completely different experience, and with a little Hemingway flair to it. And the food truck's got bison sliders and some really cool shrimp dishes and things like that pair well with every dish has a drink pairing.
Excellent.
So something, and it's off the beaten path, right? We purposely want to be. We don't want 100 people here. We have 35 people. The place is, it's big cushy seats and leather couches and leather seating and nice
Soft music.
soft music, and we don't want to pack it out. We want it to be a little hard to find, and kind of an underground kind of a theme going on.
Yeah. And so where's it located at for those that want to come visit? Because it's not there on the main island, main stretch, all that stuff, right? So
we can't tell you. You just got people just have to find it.
You gotta figure it out. You gotta know somebody knows somebody.
Yeah, you have to call us a certain number every day, and it gives you the directions. You punch in a secret code. No, it's 6404 Front Street on Stock Island, which is 10 minutes from downtown. And even though it's off the beaten path, it's still within it's 10-15 minutes drive. If anybody's been to the Hogfish Grill on Stock Island, which is a very famous place, it's a block away. So that kind of gives people a geographical idea on how to get here. But if you follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Key West Absinthe House, on both of those, and we post. We're only open Thursday through Sunday for absinthe events, and then other special events as they come. Like I say, the full moon parties. Our New Year's Eve was really good. We had about 250 people here for New Year's Eve. We got an outside stage. We dropped a mermaid on a 14-foot lobster from 26 feet in the air at midnight.
It's on the roof right now. I'll show you guys.
We got the 14-foot lobsters on the roof right now. But so we're trying to do basically dumb shit. The dumber, the better.
There's a great opportunity for a team up here between you and Kris, where next year you could potentially drop a beaver onto a cock.
There you go.
You know?
And then raise it back up and drop it again, and raise it and drop it.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, the cocks do wake you up every morning here.
Well, you know, we could go backwards with our New Year's Eve. So instead of dropping something, we could raise a cock. There you go.
There you go.
That would be perfect. Actually.
Of course, I'm talking about a chicken, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
Well, you know, everywhere. I mean, you guys have the southernmost point in the buoy that recently got set on fire. I mean, why not just go all out for the next Key West landmark? Get the world's tallest flagpole and put a giant cock on top of it.
The largest cock.
Actually, do you want to tell the story about your fountains?
Huh?
Do you want to tell the story about your fountains and the angry French poster that you had on what, Facebook? You had comments about your fountains?
Oh yeah. I think I told Alan the story, whatever. You know, Alan, when we first started getting into this, all of the absinthe snobs, you know, started coming out of the woodwork. And you know, I'm from Kentucky, not France, so I had to learn all this shit myself, right? What all this stuff means. But you know, I'm a big history buff, just like you are. Anyway, so you learn as you go. So when I got the fountains, these are Kerry Bonacas, who has owns the Absinthe Museum in New Orleans, and he's from France. Took his original fountains from the 1800s that were in the museum and casted them. So these are castings from the original fountains. These are real reproductions of the actual fountains, various different kinds. And then you could get different finials that go on top of them. They come with a pineapple on top of it, and they could also get the cock, right? So we got the cock, you can get on there. And you can see behind me, we've got fountains all across there. And my favorite one is the fairy one. There's a girl up there that has fairy wings, you know, for the green fairy. So I ordered cocks and put cocks on top of the fairies or whatever. So I get this and I posted pictures of it online. So I get this Facebook message from this guy in France, and you could hear in the tone of his voice through the message. He goes, "What are you doing? You never put a cock on top of a fountain with a lady underneath of it." So apparently that's not allowed. So I just responded back to him and said, "I don't know what you guys do in France, but in Key West, we definitely put cocks on top of the ladies here." I didn't hear anything back from him. I didn't get a second response.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about pissing most of those absinthe purists off. The vast majority of them are assholes anyways. And you've made it a point now that there's good absinthe being produced in the United States, and it got attention, and it got the word out there. And it took in my opinion, it took the absinthe that was in the United States to a whole nother level. So I wouldn't worry too much about what Pierre over there in France thinks about your cock.
Well, you know, but you know, I'm learning a lot along the way. You know, now that I know that you can't put cocks on top of ladies. You know, so you know, all of these things, the glassware, the saucers, the spoons, the history that goes along with it. You know, I connected with Philip Green, who wrote the book To Have and Have Another, and he's actually wrote a bourbon book and some other books. You know, he's kind of the authority, especially on Hemingway and drinking. You know, I hired him at the very beginning to scour through all of Hemingway's writings. And then also, too, a lot of people don't realize this, outside of his writings, there's the Hemingway Archives, which is all the letters that he wrote to people around the world have been archived into volumes. So he actually skimmed through all of those as well and pulled together even from his letters. Every time he mentioned absinthe or talked about absinthe or any of those kind of things. So it was, learned a lot. You know, he would go to, of course, absinthe was illegal, and he would go to Cuba, pick up absinthe. He had a house over there, and he'd pick up absinthe and other things that were illegal in the U.S. And on their way back, they would stop in an abandoned key and drop everything off that wasn't allowed, and then come on into Key West to port, and then they'd get their boat searched and, you know, check in and all that kind of stuff. And then a couple of weeks later, they'd go fishing, and they'd go back out and pick their booty up and bring it back in. And he would write, for example, to his friends in Chicago and be like, "Hey, I've got some absinthe waiting on you guys, special for when you get down here," yada, yada, yada. So the historical aspect of it, as far as like the Key West tie-in, has been a lot of fun. figuring all that. Now, he rarely ever mentioned a specific brand of absinthe. Of course it was illegal, so it's not like he's running down to the liquor store and buying absinthe.
Right.
Most of it
Absolutely.
from what I understand, most of it would be like in an anise bottle, and they would put the real thing in there at a bar, and so you really didn't know the brand, honestly, in most cases.
And Philip Green does have quite a bit of street cred,
Yeah.
working for, was it the Pentagon as a lawyer?
He is the trademark attorney for the Pentagon. He protects all the military brands. The guy's a super nerd.
Interesting. So I'm curious, what brands are you keeping there at the Absinthe House, Jim?
So I've got the Death in the Afternoon. From an absinthe standpoint, we pour the Death in the Afternoon. We've got the Fascination Street. It's a good buddy of mine makes that. Pretty cool stuff. And then we have the Le Bleu, which is started the whole thing, which is my favorite. I like the Le Bleu. I like the taste of it. It's interesting the contrast between all the different absinthe styles. Even especially the one that's made with hibiscus. It's like such a dramatic difference.
And you just
the Corsair.
I tried the Corsair, which I really liked, but it tastes more like a tea, honestly.
So you got the Atelier V. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
And then the one that your friend in New Orleans.
Yes, I was talking about the L'Atelier V.
Okay, yeah, he hasn't sent
Yeah,
that yet.
I can't say the fucking name of it right. So
Like I tell people, I'm from Kentucky, not France, so I'm not going to say the shit right. Like these glasses, it's the Pontarlier glass or whatever. See, I said it wrong.
right.
I've said it wrong like 9,000 times because I tell everybody Pontarlier. It's Pontarlier.
So do you have plans to bring in other absinthes as well?
Just like this shit. I don't know. Is it Fernet or Fernet?
It's
Right?
Fernet.
I get made fun of.
It's
either
just
way.
Fernet.
It's just Fernet. I see Fernet. I tell everybody Fernet.
So are you planning to bring in any other brands?
Yeah, it's not easy, right? I reached out to every manufacturer of absinthe in the United States, and nobody got back with me.
Huh. Yeah, it would be nice to get some of the jade stuff in there if you can get a hold of it.
Nobody.
I'm sure.
We're having the Green Fairy Fest in October, so I reached out to everybody about participating in it, and I can't even get a response from anybody. So,
Christy, I'm sure we could reach out to Ted Bro and maybe get something.
Reach out to.
Yeah. But I'm curious. So I know Kris is working on something cool that I presume that you're probably gonna carry there at the Absinthe House, and I'm curious to hear about his experiments with absinthe a little bit more.
Yeah, we're using the Tennessee Thumper, and so we're trying to get that going. We've done a couple of runs, playing with jar positioning for the botanicals. And it is dramatic, the changes that you can make with just simple changes of a couple of jars. I mean, it's a totally different product. So we're going to tweak that in. Hopefully, when Rick Gibson sends the boiler, we'll actually be able to get in some production. But we're having fun, It's and we're going to do it with the rice base, just like we do all our spirits, our gin and our vodka. It'll have the rice base, so it's got already a kind of a sweet component built into it, which will lend itself well to the anise. So we're in.
Great.
So
and you going to go with a more traditional, botanical bill, or you playing around with some new and interesting things, or what's kind of the what are you driving towards on your botanicals?
Yeah, pretty traditional. I mean, my family's from Switzerland, so the first one has to be traditional for that reason. I mean, I still have my family, shield on my shoulder here, tattooed in, going back to 1320. So we're pretty committed to that traditional bill right now. But we'll as we continue to play with the thumper, we'll start playing around with some other stuff.
And for those of who don't know, what do you guys mind just explaining the thumper aspect of it for those who don't understand what that is?
Yeah, so it's basically so if anybody's familiar with what a thump barrel is or a doubler, it's basically an inline second distillation system that usually works off parasitic heat from the initial still, and it literally raises your proof and your purity. So the step beyond that is this thing that Rick Gibson builds called a Tennessee Thumper, which uses a traditional thumper and then a set of jars that are set up like thumpers. But these jars that are in line, you can fill with whatever liquor that you want to, or whatever flavoring components that you want to. And it's actually a pretty old school idea. It's from this idea of using multiple, what they called retorts back even in the 1300s. And this idea that you can get a lot more extraction and higher proof by continuously redistilling. You think of it as if you have plates on a still and you're raising your proof and your purity by pushing vapor alcohol through liquid alcohol, you're doing the same thing here, but you're also able to infuse flavor during that process. So instead of just stripping flavor and ending up with neutral spirit, you're able to actually raise that proof and that purity of the base alcohol while also infusing different flavors into it as it goes. It's actually a really cool system, and I can't believe that there aren't a ton of other distillers jumping on it. I mean, it's been well adopted by the home distilling and moonshining community, but there's very few commercial distillers. Kris is the only one that I know of right now. I have some plans for it in the future, and I know of a couple other that are in process, but I take that back. Kris isn't the only one. Can't think of his name. Jimmy Jacks. Yeah, he's got one as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's broken off on his own now, but no, we've been having fun. We've had quite a few infused moonshines, and they've been very popular. We did a pumpkin spice, which was popular with white girls. Just kidding. But it was real popular for the holidays. And we did an orange and a peach that came out like Grand Marnier. Super awesome, also popular. And then we do a cinnamon, and then we don't back sweeten them. We let the consumer sweeten the taste. And what's really funny is you can drink the base alcohol with the infusion, and you'll get a hint of the spices and whatever we had in there. You add a little sugar, your brain just goes nuts on it, and it's amazing how your brain actually tastes. And so we actually use part of our when we have tours, try to teach people that it's not their tongue tasting, it's their brain, because without that sugar counterpoint on their tongue, the brain can't associate any of the other flavors. So
you start to build that contrast, and those flavor bridges and things change big time. And it's even the same with even just like the absinthe. Whenever you do a louche, I mean, things change dramatically, even without sugar. Just having the ability to get those oils to come to the forefront, changes everything. So, but so I've been really impressed by the stuff that I've gotten from you here lately, Kris. The Pacific Flyway, and I still haven't got into the grappa. It is on the list. It's just waiting for a moment where I can actually sit down and enjoy it. But the Pacific Flyway, the aged rice whiskey, that shit is fantastic, and the artwork is great. Yeah. So I'm curious, what are you going to do? Art? Do you have any idea what you're doing art direction wise on this absinthe?
Yeah. So there's the founding fathers of Chico was a guy named John Bidwell. He was a contemporary of Grant and all that whole West Point group. 4 years that went down in the Mexican-American War, did all that, and then broke up into the Civil War. And he was part of that. And he got a Mexican land grant for the area that's called Rancho Chico. And he ended up marrying a woman, Annie Bidwell, much later in his life. I think he was in his 40s or 50s. And doesn't sound old now since I'm 60. Anyway, Annie was a teetotaler and a temperance movement player. And so we're going to call our absinthe Annie's Nightmare. And she has this famous picture of her hair pulled up in a very tight, good old Southern girl hair, hair that we'd call in the 60s. So we're going to play off of that. And inside her hair, we've had some problems with homelessness in our community, and they've actually taken over the third largest community park in America, which is called Bidwell Park. And it's just now, because of a judge's orders, it's just basically trashed out. We can't use it. It's all homeless, and they have a needle program, and so there's syringes all over the place. And so we're going to put all that type of stuff in her hair. So we're kind of playing off her thing about being anti-alcohol and then all the drugs and all the political cartoon type of thing in her hair.
I like
that. Yeah, you got to give the homeless an island. Key West figured this out. You just give them an island, and then they're over there doing what they do. You know.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. I'd like to give them an island between two cities in our county, but slow. Just it's just like I don't wish homelessness on anybody, but if it's self-inflicted, I'm sorry, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah.
If you're doing it as a
Absolutely.
lifestyle choice, I'm not. You don't have my support.
So I'm curious on production side of things too. Again, Kris, and you know how I am. That's the stuff that I get into.
Yep.
So on your absinthe, you're obviously using the thumper for your flavor, and then the base alcohol is going to be the rice base. Are you doing any maceration in the pot itself whatsoever, or is it just going to be all thumper?
No, we haven't yet, and I still have to do I haven't done the coloring maceration yet. So it'll come
Gotcha.
off the thumper, then we'll go ahead and put it in the spirit barrel and work it off there in that maceration.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the pain in the ass part's the coloration step. It's getting it right and keeping the aroma where you need to have it at. That's what took me the longest time to figure out. So
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that works. But it's we're looking forward to it. We're also going to bring in our vodka took a gold recently, so we've had to increase our vodka production, and we're bringing in a new still for that. And that one will also allow us to play around some more, and then instead of using the thumper to do some production as well.
Nice. Yeah, you made some best of lists this past year too, which is awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Not bad for the first 18 months, huh?
No, not at all. Not at all. So
good teachers. Thanks, Ellen.
I don't know how much of that I was involved in, but yeah, whatever I can help with, obviously. So you guys are gonna make a cocktail as well. What do you mentioned a cocktail I never fucking heard of earlier? So
yeah, so I'm gonna make them drinks as well. But check this out, Alan. This bottle of absinthe is 15 months old.
Right.
This bottle is 3 months old.
Yep.
They're identical.
Yep. Coloration's exactly where it needs to be at.
Because I know that we had a concern about the shelf stability of the color, right? And
yeah.
There's been, knock on wood, there's been zero color shifting in 15.
Good. Because that was my big concern, like getting the base alcohol. I had a good idea where to start because I've obviously designed, I don't know, I did 4 at Copper and Kings, and then 2 at Spirits of French Lick, and then several, for consulting, but I didn't know how that color would hold up. I didn't know if it would hold up. And that was the one thing that I didn't have there was no way to be able to say whether or not that color was going to hold up after a number of months. So I'm glad to see that it's holding up like that.
100%.
That's great.
And we are going to make a cocktail here. I have to get these guys looshing on some absinthe. So we're going to make a cocktail called Root of All Evil. We've been playing around with some different, cocktails with absinthe down here, and we came up with some pretty decent ones. And this is my favorite, and it is probably the, outside of just a traditional absinthe service, it's our best seller as far as an actual absinthe cocktail goes. And it is simply, the ingredients are going to be absinthe, obviously, and some Fernet, or whatever you want to call it, and some mint. And we're going to make it in a highball glass, Collins glass. And it's my personal favorite. This is the one that I drink.
Bet you guys could make some great highballs between the Death in the Afternoon and the Beaver liquor there. And then if you had some ginger ale, just a half and half and a highball with ginger ale would probably be pretty damn good.
That's a great idea.
I have not tried the Beaver liquor as a highball yet. That's a good idea.
You
Usually I
haven't?
use Japanese whiskey.
So we ice the glass first. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put the absinthe in first by itself.
And this is what, 1.5 ounces
So
or 2?
1.5 ounces.
Okay.
And then we're going to stir it and effectively loosh it before we add anything else. Grab a
Yes.
opener, sorry. One thing I forgot. I forgot the root beer.
Nice.
So we're actually going to, we're going for the louche.
So this is similar to an upscaled version of kind of the absinthe and root beer sort of thing, because those flavors work together extremely well.
Yep, this is root beer. This is the root beer drink.
Yep.
So you notice how we've got effectively a louche,
Beautiful.
right? And then we're just going to dash in a little Fernet for Fernet, whatever, or a little bit of stiffening. And then as soon as our lovely assistant Christy gets back, we'll add the root beer that I forgot.
I see her back there looking confused.
It's underneath the bar on the right-hand side, all the way to the bottom of the bar, back bar, all the way at the bottom on the right.
I could just see her just walking back and forth. I was like, "Dad, she don't know where that fucking root beer is."
Let's see, it's over here. She's like, back over there, back over there.
Yep.
Don't forget to
Excellent.
open it.
So is this a cocktail that you designed yourself, or something that somebody came up with for you, or?
So I got to give the credit to Tim, master mixologist at General Horseplay, which is our only real craft cocktail bar in Key West. It's kind of a speakeasy type of a joint. And he came up with it. So he does a fantastic job with their drink program down there. He also has another drink that he created called I'm Not Coming Home, which is absinthe and Saint Germain elderflower and a little bit of orange bitters and a nice coupe glass of shaken and then just strained off into a coupe glass. Very sexy, kind of a dainty.
Here, but I'm trying to find a bottle opener. Don't we have one around?
Yeah, it was on the end of the bar.
I will.
You get it eventually, Christy.
As you can see, we're super prepared for this.
All the time,
Key West, maybe we don't care. It's an island. Who cares?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the PSA for the day, right, is if you come to Key West or anywhere in the state of Florida, bring a bikini.
Yes, and a bottle opener.
A bottle opener and a bikini, you're good to go.
Yep.
Is there using this particular
So,
brand?
we're trying to use you can't get real root beer anymore, but this is the Virgil's, which is a really nice root beer. You just want something that's at least a cane sugar, a good
Yeah.
root, whatever. And then you top this off with the root beer. And then we're going to give it another stir just to get that all happy and going on there.
Chris has to try this.
I can drink 12 of these. These are
Damn.
nice. You don't really taste. This is a great drink for someone who just doesn't like the taste of absinthe, but they want to drink it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and I think it'd be a good introduction to people too, because a lot of times with absinthe, people think they don't like the taste of it because they automatically associate it with licorice, and they don't realize how many of those flavors are shared between root beer and absinthe, right? And you're not really, when you're drinking absinthe, even though your brain initially registers it as licorice, it's not licorice, it's anise, right? So giving them something that's a little softer and a little rounder and a little sweeter, a lot of times helps them come around to understanding at least what can be done with absinthe. And then just like anything else, the first time, sometimes when you eat a new food that you've never had, you don't like it, but then it sort of beckons to you a little bit after that. So
Root beer, you start off as sassafras.
Yeah. And once you get if you can get the first one down, then you don't give a shit what it tastes like.
you don't care.
And then we take the a mint, fresh mint leaf, and then smack it to release all those oils in there.
We call that pounding the beaver.
Pounding the beaver juices out.
We have to
Yeah, And he is hiring. He's looking for someone to help pound beavers over there at the Beaver
There
Distillery.
you go.
You want to try that, sir?
Thank you.
Now, before you try this, let me just say that I am at least slightly disappointed that you don't have one of those fucking slushy machines in the fucking background doing the fucking Key West slushy bullshit with that particular drink, right? You put that in
Yeah.
You should. You do the old slushy fucking plastic cup. You can put the floater in there, the whole thing.
Flush in the
Oh,
background.
that's incredibly dangerous.
Isn't it dangerous?
That would be dangerous.
This drink right here, when it's finished, will get you in trouble.
I guarantee it. It looks delicious.
That's so good.
Oh yeah.
Huge difference. And this is the root of all evil.
Root of all evil. That's a great name. And so you guys are obviously also offering, the traditional louche. You can have that opportunity there. And then I'm presuming you probably have a pretty decent cocktail program, more than likely.
We've got a real well-rounded cocktail program. So, you know, that with my vodka, we make a couple of drinks. We make a muddled blueberry drink with a little key lime juice in there that's called a blue jellyfish, very popular with the ladies. We have another one called a razzmatazz, which is muddled raspberry and habanero in a vodka. This which is really popular. It's a very nice drink. And then I make a Dante's Inferno, which is a pineapple serrano drink. And then we do the smoked old fashioned, really nice smoked old fashioned in a traditional style. And then the I'm Not Coming Home. And then we're getting ready to add a couple. So today, Christy and I were looking at some different things. So we're looking at doing kind of an old fashioned that uses chocolate bitters and shaved chocolate and a lime essence.
Yeah.
Which look pretty good, I think.
Well, absolutely, Christy. When you guys have time, jump on this, a little shameless plug for Brian Cushing as well. But get on and look at the Victorian Barroom, because a lot of what Brian does, a lot of the Victorian cocktails that he does are absinthe based. And he's done a ton of research on those cocktails, and I know there's several videos about those that you can find on YouTube if you just look up Victorian Barroom. You'll be able to see that.
Absinthe frappe.
Yep.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's just an important base cocktail to have on the menu, for sure.
And they actually started off as a breakfast cocktail.
Yeah, it's like the I can't remember what they call it, but the not Irish coffee, but like the cold brew coffee with Irish pot still in it. I can't remember what the fuck they call it. Belfast coffee, similar to that, similar idea. So,
well, you know, I've got my favorite breakfast place in town right now is the Keys Coffee Company, and they have a nitro brew coffee made with butter rum beans.
And it's so good.
It's phenomenal. So I would like to do kind of like a martini with that, with the vodka martini. But I'm trying to figure out how to really sustain, you know, having the ability to do that nitro coffee. You know,
I found a hack.
she found a hack using
Actually, what you would use to make whipped cream and with the nitrogen cartridges, you can do that to make nitro cold brew. Or you can get a mini egg for about $140.
I've seen I've never seen anybody do it in person, but I have seen on fucking Moonshiner Master Distiller, one of the girls on there was playing around with a very similar idea to do some carbonation stuff, which looked like it worked pretty well. And I think it would go over extremely well too. So, you know, and there's so much levity there on the absinthe thing for all of you, you know, Kris and Jim both, with cocktails and stuff. And I know obviously the Absinthe House isn't beer oriented, but man, you could do a lot of pairings with dark beers, with stouts and things of that nature with absinthe, which might be kind of cool for some cocktails. If you had some good beers in that direction, especially with different roasted malts and stuff like that.
you can actually making a mixed cocktail with
Yeah.
the absinthe.
I bet you the Rootabelle Evil would actually be really good at that.
That almost sounds like a redneck hangover situation there, you know, like.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is, but you know,
It does kind of sound like that.
you're thinking, you know, in that same sort of flavor realm though with coffee, right? Coffee and chocolate and absinthe, they work because there's contrast, and the same thing would be true of stouts or beers with chocolate malt, for example, or any of those non-hoppy beers in particular, you know, that are darker. I think you could do a lot of really cool stuff with potentially. You know, I'm not a mixologist. That'd be something for Christy to play with, but that's just a direction that, I mean, why not go that direction? Because absinthe is just now becoming a thing again in the United States. You know, why not draw the beer people into it?
Just on name alone, I wonder how this would pair. So we have Death in the Afternoon here. One of my favorite beers back when I drank beer was called Mort Subite, which is French for sudden death. And it's a very dark, molassesy type beer. That might be.
And of course, Christy would drink a beer that has a French name.
Of course.
Right? It couldn't just be like High Life or anything.
Actually,
the only other person that's ever heard of it is the French dude who was pissed about your cock over top the fucking lady, right?
You need to drink a beer with that French lady was out. Like, oh yeah.
Hey, we talked about Smittix today. I know some of them more mainstream.
Yeah, they bring that beer out from the back, you know, to wipe the dust off of it and shit. They're like, we never thought we'd sell this.
Yeah, there you go. Well, anywhere else you guys want to go with the conversation? I'm looking forward to getting down there to the Absinthe House and checking it out sometime. And I don't know, maybe we can. We've got a little documentary about to come out that Bo Cumberland's finishing up right now that Christy was actually a part of. Maybe we could do a little screening or something down there at some point.
Yeah, we did hear a little bit about your out in the woods experience there that Christy had with it. There was some good times.
One of many.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that on this particular distiller's talk that Alan hasn't had a few drinks, because it gets a little more animated whenever we've got some drinks going.
If I wasn't afraid that I wouldn't be puking in a trash can over here, that might. I will, because I called him out on the show last night. I 100% blame Garrett Reed in Texas and the Brothers Licorice of Iron Root Republic for A, Garrett sending me Iron Root single barrels all the time, and B, the Licorice Brothers bottling everything at obscene fucking proofs like 127.5. Right now,
A number of times Alan has had a hangover and it's been due to Harbinger.
If you just want to kill me, just send me single barrels of Harbinger because it's so fucking good and it's always at some ridiculous fucking proof. And I don't realize when I'm drinking it, I've had that many of them, and it always ends the same way. It always ends exactly the same. And it's one of those that you don't realize is at the proof that it's at because they've just kind of mastered the art of, pot stilled whiskey in Texas and aging in Texas to where the flavors that they're able to get out of the barrels without the barrel overdriving the barrels is fucking phenomenal. So,
Alan, one thing we haven't talked about yet, I know Jim has hinted a little bit at it on some of his social media, but we haven't discussed the Voodoo Fairy coming out yet.
Yes. Absolutely. So that whole thing, that is going to be a new classification of absinthe, an amethyst absinthe. And of course, traditional absinthe was always colored either green and or red. Spanish absinthe, there's really only one commercial brand of red absinthe back in the day that I've ever found or heard reference to. And those colorations, the Verde is usually lemon balm, hyssop, and petite wormwood. Petite wormwood is very hard to find. As when you do find, it's very hard to find high quality of it. So really, unless you're growing it yourself or you're going to import it from France, it's really not worth messing with a lot of times. And then the red is obviously hibiscus. So thinking about absinthe and thinking about the history and the Indiana history of absinthe and all that stuff, trying to figure out how do you make absinthe a little bit more American? Well, obviously we can start coloring outside the lines, right? Absinthe is really the only spirit that hasn't been truly Americanized up to this point. And then thinking about that Indiana history, what would they have used for a base for absinthe in Indiana? Well, these were primarily winemakers, but they weren't going to use their Catawba grapes to make absinthe because they were too valuable to them as wine. So obviously they're probably using corn whiskey base, that sort of thing. Not wanting to make an absinthe with a corn whiskey base and wanting to make a different color absinthe and Americanize it, how can you get some corn flavor and some corn color into an absinthe? And it immediately came to my mind, having been a corn breeder and worked with different corn varieties, the amino acids in the pericarps of corn are either soluble in water or long chain fatty acids. And so Kasuli corn, which is a Peruvian lowland corn, incredibly dark colored. There are day length sensitive varieties that come from Peru. Like if I try to grow this stuff here in Indiana, it'll get 16, 17 foot tall before it even tassels, and it'll be October. But there are Americanized varieties now where people bred that down to a shorter season. But the long and short of it is that purple coloration is soluble in water and also ethanol. And so you can literally use this corn to color the absinthe, this beautiful purple color. And you can go with it longer or shorter. If you go a short amount of time, you'll get pink colors, very light pink. If you go a heavier amount of time, you're going to get very dark purple, more amethyst colors to it. Depending on how much corn you use, how long you go, and then the heat, if you apply any heat to it for coloration, because you don't have to with the corn. But if you do, you can actually bring some of that starchiness out of that corn. That particular corn variety is a work brain, a very soft flour type corn. And so once it hits that high proof, you actually start extracting a little of that starch out of it, and you get a little bit of that corn flavor in there as well as the beautiful color.
The color is awesome.
So pink, huh? So I could do a pink Beaver absinthe?
Pink Beavers.
You could do a pink Beaver absinthe for sure. Absolutely.
Are you milling it slightly and then soaking it, or?
Nope. So the purple's all on the outside of it. The inside is still white starch, right? And the purple is so intense on these Kasuli varieties that you can literally flake it off with your finger. There's so much on there. It's almost like almost like a buildup of it. So these corns, that purple coloration basically comes from these corns grown in very cold climates, and it's 3 recessive genes on top of each other. So even the plant itself has a lot of purple in it, and there's so much anthocyanin even in the plant. If you go out and you pull the corn cob off, your hands will get stained purple just from the actual husk of the corn.
Cool.
So
we're not talking high quantities to get a lot of color.
no, not at all. Not at all. It doesn't take much. I think usually when I was doing those prototypes, I was distilling about a gallon at a time, and I was coloring about 46% at a time. And somewhere around, it might have been 100 grams to, a little less than a half gallon to color the entirety of the thing. So it wasn't much at all. I mean, a 50-pound bag would color hundreds of gallons. Awesome.
Blue corn, Alan. You see where I'm going with this.
What about blue corn?
Yeah.
I doubt you'd get enough solubility out of it because that's soluble in fat.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would. The purple is the only color that I know of that you could do that with.
Interesting.
Actually, Kris, thinking about this,
Like the hibiscus.
there are purple sticky rices.
Yeah,
And I bet you could do the same thing with purple sticky rice.
maybe.
Get that rice flavor.
Yeah.
Do you think, is it possible to take, I don't know if it would take too much quantity or whatever, but like, can you take like blueberries and color with blueberries?
That has been done actually. So Ann Arbor Distilling Company has an absinthe. It's a little unstable though on the coloration, but they do put blueberry in theirs.
Interesting. Yeah.
You need to freeze the blueberries first, though. We've been playing with some stuff.
Like
with
maybe
the
use those
blueberry.
wild Maine blueberries.
Yeah, you gotta freeze them and then to break the cell.
Break the cell wall.
To get the color.
Yeah.
It's just like flavor. It's really hard to get it out.
Yeah. That or like the blueberry stone beer thing I did, Christi, that was, even though it's a blueberry liqueur, so it's gonna have some blueberry color to it, but that was all based on osmotic pressure from the sugar, because I extracted everything with a ton of fucking sugar before liquor ever touched it, and that pulled a lot of that color out of there as well.
But,
So I'll tell you a funny Beaver story, or at least I think it's funny, because I talk about the swamp at work all the time. So, and we talked about the Beaver that we have in the swamp at work to you, Kris, before.
Yes.
And how the city comes in and they tear out the beaver dam, and they've blown it up before with tannerite. They've tried to kill this beaver, but I don't think they're actually trying to kill it because the cop has never hit it. And I've seen him shoot at it multiple times. He can't be that bad of a shot, right? So the beaver had built his dam back, and it's kind of flooding the swamp again. Of course, that's the only sort of floodplain there in town. There's nowhere for the water to go. So they came in, they tore out his dam again the other day, and it had been cold up here. So there was, 2-3 inches of ice sitting on top of the swamp all the way across this swamp. And I didn't realize they tore the dam out, and I went outside, and it sounded like a fucking war zone outside. All that ice fucking cracking and falling into the fucking swamp. It sounded like an AR-15 when I walked outside. I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And this beaver, I was watching him the second day. He was pissed. He's swimming around. He's looking for shit to rebuild his dam. And every time a piece of ice would fall and hit the water, I guess he thought it was another beaver. And he'd take his tail and he'd smack the water and then take off underneath water. But when I looked the other day, he already had part of the dam built back. He'll have it done by the end of the week.
So let me hook you up, or hook your city officials up with the nonprofit we work with. We actually fund out of the proceeds of the company. It's called the Occidental Ecology and Arts Center out of Sonoma County. And inside is inside the organization. There's the Water Institute, and their big job is to try to get beaver habitat recreated up into Northern California. We used to have 2 million beavers that actually created the whole ecosystem we have today, the migratory waterfowl, the fish. And one of their scientists has come up with a way to allow you to move water around a dam without the beaver knowing that the water is being moved. Now, this is an art form. I mean, most people are like, that's bullshit. You know, beavers are very sensitive to their environment. They know if the water's not going, if it's getting moved around. And this guy's developed a way to do that to fool the beaver. They could still have the beaver dam, never get moved again, and the city would have their floodplain back. So
Nice. Yeah, I'd definitely be interested in showing it to them.
I'll buy the device for French Lick.
Excellent. Yeah, just let me know. Let me know, and we'll see what we can make happen. I don't really know anybody at the town, but I can certainly find out. You know what I need to find out, who I need to talk to.
I just want to walk around side French Lick to Beaver. That's all I want to be able to say.
Right. Well, you know, I made the let's go Beavers joke. I was joking with Pedro one day at work, my still hand, and I can't even remember what their high school mascot is. But I was like, it should be the Beavers because there's fucking beavers everywhere in that, you know, that flood zone there. And you know, I was like, you just imagine like, let's go Beavers, you know, pound those beavers, get those beavers, right? So Pedro's standing outside smoking. I see these guys tearing the beaver dam down. They're all standing around watching the ice break and everything too. And I opened the door and I yelled, "Let's go Beavers!" at the guys that were tearing the beaver dam out. Of course, they all turned around. Pedro's fucking standing there like he was the one that fucking did it. He was, "You motherfucker," and he walks back in. But the last funny part of the story with the beaver is, so he's equal opportunity with his dam building. So now, presumably there's not a car and dead bodies in the swamp, but there could be, and no one would know. But the beaver, the last time he built his dam, actually used a tire that was still on a rim as part of his dam. So he's getting very industrial with his building.
Badass beaver.
How come the Beaver doesn't have an Instagram account yet?
The beaver should have an Instagram account for
Yeah.
French Lick Beaver.
the French Lick Beaver.
You should do it, man.
I don't see him that often. He got smart. He used to see him outside during the day all the time until they started, you know, tearing his dam out and shooting at him and everything else. And I think now he just he works at night or something because I don't see him very often, very rarely.
How has the beaver been relocated? Is there not a beaver relocation team?
Actually, in California, I'm sure it's not the same way in Indiana, but in California, it's actually illegal to remove a beaver from its habitat or wherever it's at. You can shoot it, you can trap it, you can kill it, but you can't move it.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
But
And
you can move it when it's dead.
We're working to change the legislation so we can get the beavers. We need the beavers back up in the foothills to stop all the forest fires, wildfires.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
You know, we need wetlands again. So.
I mean, there's if you travel outside of town and you go west of French Lick, going out the valley out by Patoka, you can literally, if you watch the creek out through there, you could probably count 35, 40 of them. I mean, they're everywhere out through there. So, but yeah, get with me on that information. I'll see if I can find out who I need to talk to and see what we can't come up with. So,
Yeah, I'd love to help out your beaver there, man.
Anything we can do to help your beaver?
Jim, anything you want to mention about any events coming up at the Absinthe House?
Yeah, so we're gonna have every month this year is a full moon. So, and there's two giant moons, what do they call those, giant moons or whatever? Super moons. There's two super moons and two lunar eclipses. So every full moon on the actual full moon. So if the full moon's on a Tuesday, we're not doing it on a Saturday. You can't have 4th of July on the 2nd of July. So every full moon party, you can count on us having that particular party. And then in the month of August, we're going to be having a spirits festival down here that's going to last the entire month of August and the first weekend of September through Labor Day. So each week is a different spirit. We're going to have a vodka fest, whiskey fest, rum fest, and tequila fest. Tequila fest, for example, we have Ron White, the comedian from Texas, is going to be our headliner for that event. He also owns a tequila brand called Number 1 Tequila. And then we have the last one on Labor Day weekend will be the Rum Fest, and we've got a Jamaican band that's the Marleys and the other family in Jamaica they used to feud. Now they put a band together, 16 people in the band, a reggae band, and they own a rum brand. I think it's called Island Boys or something like that. That'll be our rum one. And of course, our whiskey fest, that's a no-brainer. We got 16 plus whiskey brands all signed up for that. So exciting. Starts the second week of August and goes all the way through Labor Day, first week of September. So that's an exciting thing. And then we've got Green Fairy Fest the weekend before Fantasy Fest, which is going to be all things absinthe. We're going to set the Guinness Book of World Records for the most amount of simultaneous absinthe luches, which is 250 the first year. So we'll be simultaneously luching 250 absinthes at once.
And where can people find your product and find you on social media?
Yes, Key West TradeCo.com. Key West, there's 2 T's in there, Key West TradeCo.com. And you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook, the Absinthe House Key West, and then Key West Trading Co. on Instagram, Facebook. And then follow Christi on her 17,000 platforms. And then
you can find me there too. Kris, where can people find more about Golden Beaver? And also, if you have any announcements that you want to make.
No major announcements. I was on vacation until about an hour ago.
We fixed that real quick.
It's Kris at Golden Beaver Distillery is my email. It's goldenbeaverdistillery.com for all things Golden Beaver. Most of the stuff we do is on Instagram and Facebook at /Golden Beaver Distillery on both of those platforms. And but I do appreciate, again, another great opportunity to be on Distillers Talk, because some of the best people I know in the business right here.
Thank you. And
Thank
also,
you.
people find your products. If they're not in California.
Actually, there is an announcement. I guess I'll make the announcement. So we shipped our first pallet to Sealbox. So
Good.
if you are looking for some of the Golden Beaver juice, we have our vodka, our gin. Actually, they didn't take the vodka. Their gin, our 2 whiskeys, our really nice honey flavored bourbon, which is actually part of the top 50 this week in New York. You can get it there at Sealbox. So we thank Blake and all those folks there for picking us up. It's really awesome.
what is that exactly?
Fantastic.
What?
Sealbox. It's SEELBACHS.com.
And that is a online distributor?
It's an online. They're actually in Washington, D.C., which is an awesome situation because we don't go through a wholesaler directly to the retailer there, and they can ship to every state in the union.
And I will say, Chris's products are amazing. I have a few of them at home, and I just recently got the chance to try his whiskey as well. Very good, very light, but lots of flavor. So keep doing the good work. I'm really looking forward to your absinthe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alan, where can people find you?
You can find me at spiritsofrenchlick.com, alchemistcabinet.wordpress.com. Hungover after drinking Iron Root Harbinger for like the 3rd time, which was just stupid, but delicious. I think that covers it.
It's almost like a Lucky Charms commercial there.
You can also get our stuff at stillbox.com, by the way, guys. That's the other thing I forgot to throw in there. So,
and we're going to have absinthe from Kris as soon as we get a boiler.
Yeah.
From Rick Gibson. Good on, Ricky.
We're waiting on that here.
Yeah, Rick.
TBD.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the festival, one way or the other, we'll have our absinthe here.
We might have to make a little trip up Tennessee.
Do you have a one we can borrow? Do you have a loaner? Can we get a loaner until that one gets shipped?
Right. You know, I could potentially put this thing together.
Yeah.
There you go. Wait, so now it's a contest to see who can do it first, you or Rick.
Yeah.
Right. Rick's gonna listen to us and be like, "You motherfucker."
I mean, it's not like Alan's not doing anything right now. You know, distillery, multiple projects, apparently taking over Scotchy Bourbon Boys. You know, the usual.
Hijacking.
Hijacking. Yes.
Find me on Instagram at Southbound Lane. Thanks for tuning into Distillers Talk for this special episode. We'll be putting this out on YouTube and our usual podcast platforms. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Distillers Talk. Until next time, keep the still fires burning. Thanks, guys.
Don't forget to spay and neuter your welfare beavers.
Yeah.
Basis.